George, I think I have us both focused in. Hey, happy Monday.
There you go. Good job.
Happy President's Day. We can have a whole discussion on our favorite presidents, but I'll spare everybody that. But instead, I got to tell you, I've been doing some reflection this morning. As you guys know, I enjoy helping others with diet and lifestyle and supporting that effort. And sometimes it's a bit more challenging than it needs to be. And I thought Dr. George would be a really good person to talk about fad diets versus lifestyle. My number one biggest bugaboo, can I share it with you, please? I'm going to hold this up a second. I think you all recognize what this is, right? You put your feet on it, maybe with your eyes closed, first thing Monday morning.
Bare feet.
Yeah.
So it reads your fat analysis.
If you have one of these fancy ones like Dr. George has that's reading bioimpedance and giving you some body fat and muscle analysis, then it would be one of these. But are you having an unhealthy relationship with this? Is the number that you see on this thing upending your world? If that number is really, really a sweet number, are you like high five? Oh yeah, baby, we're going in the right direction. But what if that number stays the same or it goes in the wrong direction? Are you emotionally attached to this thing? Is this thing running your life? Or are you in charge of your technology? That really is the question. Because I have to tell you, when I do client check-ins, some of them are emotionally attached to that guy. And that guy could be a liar, could be a big liar too, because guess what? That scale isn't always accurate, which is why we always recommend what? Taking a tape measure, measuring the waist, measuring the hips, making sure those ratios are good, because you can see changes in the inches that are not reflected in that scale. And then again, it could just be your monthly cycle, or you could do what I did. I had Mexican food on Saturday with Gail when we went out for dinner. I cannot tell you how much sodium was in that thing, but I bloated up for the next day. Do you think that sodium bloat is reflected in that scale? Of course it is. And do you think it'll normalize in a day or two when that sodium level returns to normal?
72 hours.
72 hours? Yes, it will. So what's the takeaway? Are you doing a diet? Is it a diet mentality? Or are you doing a lifestyle? And there's a big difference between the two, because that scale should not dominate your life if what you're doing is a healthy lifestyle and you're making healthy decisions before you stick what's in your mouth. Now, if you're doing that and living a healthy lifestyle, then that scale's going to reflect that particular activity. George, I said a lot. I'd like to have you chime in.
I'm going to do that. This morning, unfortunately, as Bob and I have alluded in previous videos, I was involved in a motor vehicle accident, and I am improving. And I feel like what I'm doing, it's almost like I'm working. I go to the chiropractor twice a week,
Right.
Monday and Wednesday. I go to Dr. Daniel Crane on Monday, which I was there this morning, which I'm going to elaborate on Dan and my conversation a little bit. It's appropriate to this video. I go to Dr. Carl Muller on Wednesday, and
Two really good docs.
and I go to my favorite PT, who's a DPT. He's one of my favorite PTs,
Right.
Robert Nestor, and he had given me a great exercise last Thursday for all you golfers out there, which we'll talk about a little later. And I go to my two medical doctors, who I want to give a shout out to, Dr. Robert Mouthy and to Dr. Jeff Bertain, and I go to them
Right.
once a month.
Okay.
And I go to the gym, Max Fitness, every Saturday and Sunday morning. I've been doing this faithfully now. I'm doing stretches, I'm doing flexibility, I'm doing cardio. Haven't really done weight training, but I am taking my 30 supplements a day, and I am
like
still watching my diet. And I follow Dr. Dave Seaman's diet, and I have that modified a little bit in that I do not do gluten or sugar. And the other thing that I do, I eat to my blood type, which I'm B negative, so I kind of eat the proper meat. and I also eat healthy, and I try to make it alkaline based, and I do things like hydrating properly by putting, and I personally like lemon, so I take a quarter lemon, put that in 32 ounces of water, and I'm going to get something right now to show you guys that I had actually prepared, and this is a page out of my book
There you go.
for this. And I put this in my 32 ounces of spring water that I buy every day. I buy two 32s for 64, and it's to hydrate.
Good
So
electrolyte in there.
our previous discussions, we were talking about the importance, Bob and I, of hydrating and becoming pliable. So this morning, Dan and I were talking about my motor vehicle accident and my treatment and what I'm doing and trying to move forward, and we happen to be talking about diets. And the problem with diets and the problem that people face, and they get hung up on it, and I've noticed this a lot, ironically, lately with people that I've been talking to that are patients of mine.
Right.
With the way the internet and technology is today, it's really easy to go out there and Google information,
Oh my God, yes.
and they think because they Google it that information is correct. But unless you get that information from a peer-reviewed journal, it's really more often than not that particular author's, perspective
Opinion or anecdotal.
or perspective.
Yeah.
And it could be anecdotal, just as Bob has said. So, all these diets out there, some will say, oh, well, the Mediterranean diet, oh, well, the deflame diet, oh, well, this diet or that diet, whichever one you want to pick. But the bigger picture is that diet right for you? And that's why people like Bob and I, who are trained professionals, come into play. Because we can help you determine whether David Seaman's deflame diet is right for your particular situation. So, like, if you're, for instance, and I'm not going to pick on him because he had an unfortunate situation, he was washing his car and he threw his lower back out. And he's in severe pain, the worst he's ever been in his life.
Right.
And he's all panicking over it, and he's doing the, being a degreed person and being a college degreed intellectual person, he's doing what everybody would do, and he's on the internet surfing and looking this up, looking that up, and he's overthinking it.
Pain is a very powerful motivator.
Absolutely. But my motive and my theme for my office is, speaking of pain is not a lifestyle. And it should never become a lifestyle.
Right.
And in his case, he was telling me, oh, I ran 2 miles on Saturday and I was fine. Were you really fine?
Yeah.
And the problem with, and he's had a history of lower back pain. I've treated him a few previous times. And what had basically happened, he had become deconditioned and he had changed jobs and he probably had weak core. And he caught himself awkward and he facilitated knocking his back out. So let's examine this. So he's particularly on a type of diet, and the problem with that is it right for him?
Right.
And he's lost weight. He looks good on the outside, but is he good on the inside? And he would be better served, obviously we know this because hindsight's always 20/20. Instead of being on a keto diet, that's what he was on, he would have been better served by being on a deflame diet because he was building up inflammation. And I know from my conversation that I had with him this morning, he was eating sugar and gluten.
Bacon and cheese is not a long-term solution.
Exactly. So if he would have been on a deflame diet, and he would have been a little, say, heavier than he is. I mean, he's at a really good weight, so that's not the problem, but he has, deficits in his core. So what I'm going to do besides doing therapy and adjusting him, and I think I'm going to do instrument adjusting the first couple times, and then I'm going to go to a combination of instrument and manual, and then manual. But the one thing I am going to teach him today, when he does indeed come in later this afternoon, is I'm going to teach him 4 core exercises because his core has become weak. And then if you do your core exercises every day for about 3 weeks, you'll develop better core. And then you can start doing some postural exercises, because that's the next thing that you develop, deconditioning with. So what does it really come down to is the conversation we're having. Is it diet or is it lifestyle? And he got all hung up on the diet, and that's what led to his demise and unfortunate situation.
Die
It. Exactly.
Yep.
It even tells you that. So, I had given him some advice, and he's coming in. I'm going to give him some more advice. And, for him, he needs to go on that D-Flame diet. And the big thing I gave to him, and I'm going to bring this up, is about pliability. So he was able to run 2 miles, but why couldn't he run 5 miles? Well, he wasn't pliable enough. And that's the big thing with TB12 and Tom Brady, is about hydration, which Bob and I talk about. So what you're going to do, just like on the package, you're going to add this to your 32 ounces of spring water with your quarter of lemon, if you're me, and you're going to drink that over a 6-hour period, and then you're going to drink your second one, which you're going to do the same thing to, over another 6-hour period, and that's going to make you pliable.
Right.
So let's not get hung up on diet, but in his case, we know he's inflamed. So we know he needs to be on David's diet, so he needs to follow the D-Flame diet, and he needs to be pliable. He needs to do core exercises.
In an anti-inflammatory
World.
diet is not bacon and cheese.
And it's not a keto diet.
Vegetation and animals that
It's
eat
not a
vegetation.
Mediterranean diet.
It is well balanced.
So getting back to that, so how did this all happen? It's because his lifestyle needs to be changed. And Tom Brady and TB12, they always talk about lifestyle. It's not about a fad, it's about lifestyle. If you're not committed to that lifestyle, what happened to this patient that's going to be coming in this afternoon is going to happen to you. So what Bob and I are trying to give you here is let you know the difference between lifestyle and diet. You can't get hung up on my scale and become obsessive compulsive about your weight.
So Monday through Friday, you can't be doing a quote-unquote diet or lifestyle, and come the weekend, do whatever the heck you want to do. It's not compatible. So are you living a lifestyle, or are you doing a diet, and are you addicted to the number you see on the scale? And if that number is an addiction to you, then we need to work on that and change it. Change it to a lifestyle.
Obsessive compulsive is not a good solution. If you're obsessed with the scale, that would be definitely something that needs to be addressed. And the last video we did, we talked about the different phases that you need to go through to live the life, to live the lifestyle, to change the lifestyle, and you need to be committed to that. And it's just not about diet, it's just not about supplements, it's not just about hydration, it's just not about exercise. It's about the whole lifestyle. It's about
It's a way of life.
It's about eating a diet that is specific to your needs. It's about taking supplements, like in his case, I don't want to pick on him, and I'm not doing that, but he has inflammation, so you know what? He's going to need to take like turmeric.
Gotta lower the flame.
Gotta lower the flame. Turmeric with black pepper and curcumin. And he's going to need to take that 3 times a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening. He's going to need to do that for at least 3 weeks, and then, scale it down to like twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and then ongoing or, prophylactically, once a day, because he has inflammation, and he's going to have to eat a diet that's going to reduce that inflammation. And in the meantime, he's going to have to build up his core. He's going to have to take supplements. He's going to have to do a combination of weight training and aerobic training beside the core. And then what he's going to need to do on top of everything else is put everything together. So it's not just diet, it's lifestyle. And if you're willing to be committed to that lifestyle, that's where it's all,
And that's really where a guide or a coach or a licensed practitioner who's trained in sports medicine and rehabilitation is key to having that kind of valued player on your team.
But lifestyle is where it's all at. So it's not about diets. There are a lot of fad diets out there. It's not about just going to the gym. Bob and I have had that discussion. I faithfully went to the gym 4 times a week for a year and 3 quarters. I lost 6 pounds.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I get a pat on the shoulder for being, focused and persistent. But where did it really get me? I'm more toned. I can, if you look at my Fitbit and I take the readings, my pulse is like in the low to mid 60s. Yeah. My blood pressure averages between 115 and 75. My ECG looks good. My blood oxygen's 98, 99, 100. I'm taking between 8,000 and 12,000 steps. On paper, I look great. But you know what? I'm not sleeping well. My sleep score, which is a combination of the hours I slept, my REM sleep, which is your true deep sleep, which has to do, you have alpha, beta, delta, and theta waves in your brain and the organization of those waves, and that's what determines, whether you get that REM sleep. So my brain waves are scattered. I'm not getting, since the accident, I guess I got all shook up. I'm not getting the sleep I should get.
Lunora and hemp oil, it worked for me.
There you go. So here we go. I've been doing, what seems to be like a job, chiropractic twice a week, PT twice a week, the gym twice a week, the medical doctor twice a month. And I'm committed to doing that and committed to getting well. I'm doing things to increase my flexibility and get rid of my tingling in my arms and my headaches.
But it's not instantaneous results.
But
you're working at it.
But it's taken me longer than I thought it would, and as you're younger, you tend to bounce back quicker, but I am improving and I am getting the way. But one of the things I notice, and this goes back, even though I'm trying to do everything right, is diet's not the only place where it's at. You have to do everything. It's lifestyle. It's about exercising, eating right, taking supplements, hydrating. And I'm trying to do all that. And even doing all that, I still have good and bad days. And on the bad days, it seems to precipitate a headache. But my headaches are getting milder and less frequent. And I'm having more and more good days as compared to more and more bad days. But I'm still having bad days. But
Sure.
The biggest thing I notice is how it's affected my sleep. So once again, if you go on that fad diet, and you happen to have a Fitbit that analyzes, it gives you a sleep score, which is a combination of your heart rate, your blood pressure, your blood oxygen, and your hours slept and your REM sleep, and it also it has an algorithm that it puts that all together and gives you a score, and you're having poor, scores or below average scores. It tells you need to make some lifestyle changes, and you got to tweak that. And yesterday I did pretty good. I had a sleep score of 6.8. I've had 3 good sleep days in a row. So,
That's
Friday night,
progress.
Saturday night, Sunday night. I had 3 good days in a row, as opposed to Thursday night where not so much.
I can relate to that because when I was going through that nerve pain with that tooth, that fractured tooth, it upended my sleep cycle completely.
So one of the things we're talking about fad diets is how does it affect your sleep cycle? That's a real good indicator of your overall health. Mm-hmm. And the other thing you need to know is, well, if that sleep style is affected, what are you going to do in your lifestyle to have a favorable outcome?
Yeah.
What changes are you going to make to improve that sleep?
That really is the key, isn't
So,
it?
once again, and people say to me, and this is kind of funny, so I was having a bad day the other day.
Nah, you're not allowed to have bad days, George.
And this was actually Wednesday night. In fact, Wednesday night was one of the worst days I've had yet. I had a 3.1 score, and then on Tuesday night I had a 2.5 score. And what's incredible about those 2 scores is Tuesday night I got some PT treatment. I felt great. During the day, and I was busy patient-wise, is one of the best days that I had since the accident. I felt great. But yeah, I still had a bad score that night. It was 2.5, the lowest I ever had. And then Wednesday, I got treated by my buddy Carl, and I got chiropractic, and he does mechanical traction. And once again, I had a great day, and that was my busiest day. Felt amazing, but yet I still had a sleep score of 3.1. So I had a 2.5 and a 3.1 sleep score back to back. So I didn't panic, I didn't get obsessed, like people do with the scale. And I've been watching my weight. And I do that. I've been fluctuating between 195 and 200, so I've been able to maintain my gains. But I'm sticking to my diet. I'm sticking to all the things that I know that I need to do, and I'm not giving up and being persistent. And that's paid off because I got a great treatment from my PT on Thursday, and today I got a great treatment from Dr. Danny Crane today, and I feel great today.
And accidents are going to happen.
And they do.
So best to be deflamed at the time of injury to accelerate your healing process. So good for you for at least being reasonably deflamed when you got hurt.
Well, here's the good news. There's always good news, bad news. Well, the good news was, and my wife told me that I shouldn't have said this. We were out with another couple, and we were out to eat, and we were eating healthy. And I said to my friend, I said, this is the best I've felt in 10 years. I feel 10 years younger than I am. I am physiologically younger than my age. I'm becoming more and more like Tom Brady, after reading the TB12 information and following that information. It's really working for me. Well, that was on a Sunday. 2 days later, on Tuesday, I'm involved in a motor vehicle accident.
Life happens.
So life did happen. But at least prior to that motor vehicle accident, I was in great shape. I was taking 30 supplements a day. I was following my diet for the last 3 years. I was weighing about 195. I was going to the gym. I was exercising. Everything was moving in the right direction. I was getting adjusted, PRN, not because I needed to, but just, if you exercise a functional joint, you create greater function. So I was trying to improve my function, trying to improve my golf game because, in another month, it'll be spring, March 21st, and I'm going to want to go out and play. But the motor vehicle accident set me back a little bit. And actually, right now, I can't swing a golf club if I wanted to.
Again, baby steps.
Baby steps.
You'll get back to it. Anyway, we better wrap this up. We've been talking for a while here.
But the key point to everything we said, it's not about diet. A fad diet, and they advertise this on TV all the time, and people get caught up in it. But that's not the answer. If it was the answer, everybody would be doing it. It's just, it's like, Abraham Lincoln, one of our presidents, once said, you can fool some of the people some of the time, you can fool some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So with that in mind, the advertising is fooling some people, and it's fooling some people all the time, but, how does it really work? I can't tell you how many patients I've talked to that say, oh yeah, I did this, and I lost 30 pounds, and then I gained 50 back.
The famous yo-yo, and that's because, again, it wasn't a lifestyle. You did not focus on the habits that serve you.
So the lesson to learn is, just as Bob said, you didn't focus on the habits that best serve you. And as we've alluded to in past videos, you want to be the best version of yourself. Yeah. And in order to do that, it's not about diet, it's about lifestyle. And lifestyle encompasses everything: diet, supplements, exercise, your core, hydration, pliability, sleep, which is really important. And that's a good indicator of the level of your function and where you're at.
Healthy surroundings.
Environment is very important. And the closing thing I want to say here is one of the most important things that I learned through all of this is movement. The more you move, the better off you are. When you lay around, because your shoulder is sore, your hand is tingling, you don't feel like yourself, but that doesn't serve you really well. That's not a great lifestyle choice. It's all about choice. And the lifestyle choice should be about movement. And that will better serve you and lead to a favorable outcome.
So, George, let me just bring this home. In closing, Don't be a slave to your scale. This scale does not control you. That it's just a number. Whether it's a good number or a bad number, it is only a number. Work on your lifestyle, make healthy choices, and it won't matter what that scale tells you.
Yeah, don't get caught up in television advertising, because that is specifically what it is. It's designed to get you to try that particular, diet or whatever they may be advertising, or that particular company. Be better served and be the best version of yourself by making those lifestyle changes that Bob and I are suggesting.
George, good luck getting that golf game together. Baby steps.
My goal is to play by the end of April in Myrtle Beach, when I go down to Myrtle Beach with my wife for an extended weekend for an early vacation.
You know what? There's a lesson in that, George. You're planning from the future, and you're acting in the now to create that reality one step at a time.
And I'm trying to make that reality happen, and that's why I'm working as hard as I am and staying focused to achieve that goal.
Well, until next time.
It's been great.
It's been great. Guys, you have a wonderful day. And
have a great day, everybody.
We'll do this. We'll do
be
this
back
again. Take care.